I have great news, Puyo Puyo fans. Sega has finally listened to our demands. They've brought back the one Puyo related thing that we've all been asking for forever. That's right, Puyoman are back. Wait, what? Yeah, so this was random to see. The other day it was posted that Puyo Puyo Manju will be releasing on April 29th, and they will be rolled out in the Kanto region from the end of May. You might be wondering, what is a manju? Well, manju are a traditional Japanese confection, typically made from flour or rice powder, sugar and brown sugar, the typical ingredients found in baked goods. The name Puyoman from before comes from a portmanteau of Puyo Puyo and manju. That doesn't really explain any significance regarding these little steamed buns though. Why on earth am I making a video about them? I'll tell you, it's because these little things were at one point the most profitable thing to help prolong Compile's life before their bankruptcy. Allow me to explain. Back all the way in 1994, Compile was seeing a lot of success with the Puyo Puyo franchise in Japan and beginning to produce a lot of merchandise. What was one of the things they settled on for something simple they could sell for cheap? Little steamed buns shaped like Puyos and also carbuncle. These all had a machine with molds that would make them, and these little manju proved extremely successful. As you may or may not already know, Compile struggled with unfortunate financial troubles by the late 90s and early 2000s. However, Puyoman remained a core pillar of their business and remained immensely popular. People who didn't even play any Puyo Puyo or Mado Monogatari games would buy them simply for their taste. It's pretty funny to think that a lot of people in Japan from back then probably wouldn't even associate Puyos with the series that they're from, but their manju counterparts instead. Anyways, Puyoman remained in production until 2002 and was sadly never brought back after Compile's bankruptcy in 2003. During this span of 9 years, various pieces of merchandise for the Puyoman were produced, including plushies and a CD album. Puyoman were also featured heavily in a lot of official artwork from this era, such as this comic of Rulu wanting to give some Puyoman to Seiden, and this artwork, and also this. One of the most amusing things regarding Puyoman is that one cameos in the Game Gear version of Mado Monogatari 3 as an advertisement. The game initially mistakes it as a yellow Puyo, but Arl is quick to realize it is actually a steam bun. It begins to talk and states that they will be sold in Miyajima, Hiroshima, beginning in January of 1995, the month after the game's release. Can't get more blatant than that. In the mobile port of the game from 2009, its dialogue is changed to tell of how it used to be found in Hiroshima, asking that it not be forgotten. That's really sad, damn. The reasons why Puyoman never returned are various, but in short, somehow these manju were in copyright hell. All the different elements regarding Puyoman are all individually owned. D4, who also owns the current rights to Mado Monogatari, owns the name Puyoman. Sega owns the IP of Puyos. The former Compile president Mu Nitani has the recipe, and the molds were owned somewhere else too. What a mess. There's been immense demand in Japan, and even overseas, ever since their discontinuation to bring them back. And while there have been a few spiritual successes from Sega, such as Puyo Taiyaki and Puyo Nikuman, nothing ever proved to be as popular as Puyoman. These things must have tasted amazing to still have fans asking for them back after 20 years. Do you see people after that long ask for the Skater Dara sushi to come back? Hell no. Anyway, the time has finally come. Puyoman are back. Or rather, Puyo Puyo Manju are. I guess they didn't want to pay for the rights for the name. Are they the same steamed buns then, despite the change? If you have a close look at them, it seems so. Those look like the same classic Puyo designs from the 90s. Does this mean they used the same molds from back then? Yes. Apparently, there was a chance discovery by a former Compile employee who now runs a business maintenance company. Miraculously, the original Puyoman molds turned up. The company that made them turned out to not only have the molds, but also the original wooden mold. That's so cool. And if that isn't cool enough, they are indeed using the original recipe too. Apparently they've been working with several people involved with the production of the original Puyoman in order to attempt to recreate the taste from back then, but it seems they weren't able to get it exactly the same. Ah well. If you want to get some of these Puyo Puyo manju for yourself, production will be limited until after the G7 summit held in Hiroshima, which ends on the 21st of May. Afterwards they'll be doing a wider release which includes availability across Kanto and other regions. What if you don't live in Japan? Well, you're kind of out of luck, like with most Puyo Puyo related things. So if you're watching this, Sega of America, and those folks who distribute Sega products to Australia, you better be planning a worldwide release of these. Please. And in case this whole video just seemed weird and esoteric, I'd just like to clarify these things are extremely popular right now. The tweet announcing the return of Puyo Puyo Manju received over 10,000 retweets and 14,000 likes, and they've already been selling extremely fast too since their release on the 29th. Puyo Puyo fans are finally eating good. Literally. Anyways, I don't know what else to say other than I really did ramble on about steamed buns for almost 6 minutes.